Live. Make sure we're going in. Here we go. Hey guys, what's going on? It's John and Dave with the Righteous Savages, and we're here multi-streaming. It's our first multi-stream. We're streaming on our YouTube channel, on Survival Dispatch Rumble channel, and on our X account on, well, some of you guys know it as Twitter, but it is X, and you can just find us there at any of those platforms and check it out. As the thumbnail probably gave it away to you guys, we're going to talk about this craziness that's going on in the Olympics. We'll probably touch a little bit on the opening ceremony. We talked about that last week, but it seems to be getting crazier. And today, this news kind of broke on this young lady who lost to a biological male in a boxing match in the Olympics. And I got to be careful because I'm going to start ranting if I'm not careful, because this is infuriating. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're calling this. I guess we'll call this one Righteous Rants. But I kind of wanted to talk about that because it's probably it's a hot button issue, but it shouldn't be a hot button issue for Christians, because this is very clear. Genesis 1:27 talks about God creating. Go ahead. Got a little bit of a delay here. Absolutely. It's really important. It's really important to say what the Bible says and what we're supposed to say as Christians. The Bible says very clearly in Genesis 1:27 that God created man in his own image, and he created them male and female. That's it. There is no other argument. And I know culture and the world wants to make up these genders and say that gender is fluid, but the Bible says no, it's not. It is absolutely concrete. There are two genders, and the genders are different. The roles are different. And I've had some people that were asking me questions about, well, they have specific testing for these athletes, and they have to be a certain weight limit and all this stuff. So isn't that fair? And I said, no. Simple biology tells you it's not fair. It's not right, because a boy's testosterone level, and if you know science, testosterone is it's the marker for strength, bone density, and all of these other things that build men and make them stronger and bigger overall than women as a rule. And when you try and act like having 2 or 3 decades of higher testosterone levels does not give you more overall strength, even at the same weight as a woman, that's that's just garbage, and it's not scientific. It's absolutely a woke religion that needs to be countered, and we need to stand up and fight against it. Yep. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that it's really important for us. My apologies. I had a thing on my phone real quick, but it's really important for us to be the standard bearer for this stuff, to not allow it to permeate in society, in the church. Not necessarily that we're supposed to just fight against all of this stuff all of the time, but when we see something as egregious as what we saw at the Olympics, both the opening ceremony, and I have been a religious watcher of the Olympics. I haven't watched a single event this year just because I don't agree with what is going on with the messages that they're pushing out and they're promulgating. I just don't agree with them, and I don't think that they are what we should be giving our dollars and our eyeballs to, because it's completely wrong. And watching this young lady from Italy get absolutely pummeled, a 46-second fight, and when she came out of the ring, when they interviewed her afterwards, the guy got one punch, one really good punch in on her. You could see her whole face turned. She said it was the hardest punch she had ever taken in her life. And she knew that she couldn't go on after that. She knew, if I go on, I might get seriously hurt. I might even get killed. People die from head trauma all the time. And you put somebody that is way stronger in the ring with somebody who just biologically is not as strong, they're going to lose, and there's going to be some really bad things. And if we don't stop this right now and stand up against it, we're going to see we're going to see actual deaths inside of these rings. I couldn't believe when I first found out they're allowing men in combat sports. It's one thing for them to be in a skiing competition or a skating competition or something like that, but they're actually matching strength for strength, you know, and that is insane to me because we should not be in a society that allows us. I mean, you think about this. I was thinking earlier today, you know, remember all the outrage when the running back Ray Rice got caught on camera in a hotel hallway punching his girlfriend, literally just knocked her out cold, getting into an elevator. The outrage from everybody, as it should be, was this dude is a scumbag and needs to be held accountable. But yet now here we have a huge event, happens once every 4 years, and they're just allowing this to happen. And there's another guy actually in the boxing, the women's boxing. There are two men in the women's boxing, and very likely you're going to end up with a man versus man women's boxing championship. Let that sink in. Right. Yeah, I hope so. And I think that really what we have an issue with is um, a my apologies, guys. I got some technical difficulties. I can't even talk right now. Um, but anyways, I saw that I believe it was Samsung. They pulled like several $billion after um, the opening ceremony debacle that happened. They pulled several $billion worth of advertising out of the Olympics, and so it is having an effect. And you know, I'm not saying that everybody should boycott the Olympics because yeah, we should cheer on our athletes as an American. It's just a personal preference of mine that like after I saw the opening ceremony, in reality it was more like I just have other better things to do than to watch this stuff, and I don't know what else is going to happen. And I think that really we do to a certain extent vote with our eyeballs and vote we vote with our what we give attention to, and that is definitely something that that I keep in mind too, is that we should not allow just the popularity of something to keep us from being able to say, hey, we don't agree with this, we don't want this to be a part of our culture. And when we look at it, it's it's a diagnosable mental illness. Gender dysphoria is a diagnosed mental illness by Johns Hopkins University before 4 years ago when they actually did away with it. It was a diagnosable mental illness. And I'm not saying that I'm shunning or I hate those people. I want them to get the help that they need, because it's not normal to mutilate your body. It's not normal to think you're a different gender. You were born the way that God created you, and we believe that as Christians. So we should be saying, hey, we love you. We don't agree with you. We don't want this ideology to be mainstream because it's unhealthy. And there's a lot of suicides that go along with this. And they say that this is suicide prevention to be affirming to gender. There is no statistic that shows that. It actually shows the opposite, that the suicide rates go up post gender transition surgeries. And people want to go back because they realize the mistake that they made. So we are in a situation where it's really, really dangerous. And I I want to protect future generations, and I don't want to have to say, oh, now nobody that's an actual biological female is in the box on the boxing team this year. Because that's where this is headed. Yeah.
Some people said it
Some people
wasn't.
said
So
it
I'm
wasn't.
watching.
Yes.
Not that I've seen, or I haven't seen anybody turn for people to look at a thing and convert it to whatever they want it to be. I think it definitely looked like the Last Supper that they were mocking, without a doubt. That's hard to kind of get around it. But even if you don't believe that, just look at at what the people going on. One guy had his testicles hanging out of his shorts. It's just other just wild stuff. It's like every other pharmaceutical commercial we see on TV is full of push on the Olympics. It is everywhere. It is being infiltrated into everything we see on TV and internet, every sitcom out there, every movie, commercials. It is everywhere. People are gaslighting us, trying to make us feel bad for not feeling the exact same way. And it's not our fault. We're not the crazy ones. And so I'm just really tired of people making me feel like something's wrong with me because, I say that, some dude shouldn't be beating the crap out of a girl in a boxing match in the Olympics.
Absolutely. That should go without saying. Yeah, it's crazy to me that people think that. I'm gonna throw this up here on the screen real quick. Get your reaction to this. This dude's pretty well known. The caption says, "Republicans are weird and creepy." Notice what it says first. For kids only.
I want to talk to the kids. Parents watch the video and then hand the phone over to the young kids. Hi there. I get asked a lot, are you a boy or a girl? And I love that question. And so I wanted to just tell you, sometimes human beings are more than boy or girl. Sometimes we're something else. Sometimes we're both. Sometimes we kind of float in between, and sometimes we're a boy, sometimes we're a girl, because human beings are creatures and we're wild and exciting. But I want to ask you a favor. If you see a kid like me or an adult like me, would you be extra nice to them? Would you do me a favor and be very, very kind? Yeah, like anybody, we can feel lonely. And so if you're kind to us, it would be really, really important.
Okay. I got a couple things on that real quick.
Right.
First of all, some of the most hateful, vile people I've ever seen are guys like that. You get them at a protest and they become the meanest people you've ever seen. So I find it kind of odd that they're begging for kindness. And I'm all about it. I'll be nice if at a protest, wherever, if I saw that guy in Walmart, at Kroger, standing in line next to him, I can, hey, how's it going? Nice day. I could have a normal conversation with that person, no doubt about it. I could open the door for him. I could do whatever. I've got no problem. The scary thing is that he says, hey, mom, watch this video and then hand the phone to your young kids. And then so this guy is going to teach young kids that there's no such thing as a boy or girl. That's a lie. There is such thing as a boy or girl. This floating in between, that's not real. And this guy has mental health problems. But half the world thinks, oh, this guy is so nice. He wants us to be kind. Let's just, like Ellen DeGeneres, let's just be kind to everybody. And what's wrong with that message? He just wants everybody to be kind. And the problem with it is that's honestly not the message. The message is let's brainwash people, make you feel bad for thinking, that there is a boy and a girl. We're going to guilt you into that. We're going to tell you some lies. And pretty soon the world is full of lies. And more guys are getting into women's boxing. And cats and dogs are living together. And it's complete chaos. And to think that this guy, wants to teach young kids, let me teach your young kids about biology and what's real or not. That's the scary part, because there's teachers out there in America that are probably in some classroom going, okay, we're going to talk about kindness today, and they're going to show that video.
Yep.
And that's what's going on with some of your kids at school.
Absolutely. We are it's ludicrous and it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And for a little bit of and here's another one. This one was really, really popular. Came out a couple of days ago. This is actually let me get it teed up here. This is actually a super PAC for Kamala Harris. This is a super PAC, and this is the commercial that they put out for Republicans to characterize us. And there's a specific message here, and we'll get into that afterwards. But I want you to watch this real quick, and we'll get a snap reaction of it.
Yep.
Us MAGA Republicans banned abortion, but that's just the start.
That's just the start.
If Trump gets elected, we want the government involved in all aspects of your sex life.
Way more involved.
Way more involved.
When you have sexual intercourse, it should be illegal to use contraception. No pills, no condoms.
Your genitals are reserved for procreation.
If you freeze 12 eggs, you should be required to have 12 babies, or else you're a serial killer. And I'm definitely not a serial killer.
Are you?
My son monitors my porn usage to make sure I'm not self-pleasuring.
Just like Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. That's true, you can look it up.
Don't you think that's normal?
Yeah, I do.
It's normal for your son to do that.
You should have a family member monitor your porn use too.
Because pleasuring yourself is very, very naughty.
I'm voting in November.
I'm voting in November.
We're all voting in November. Are you?
Because what happens in your bedroom is up to me.
Is up to me and my son. Also, mouth stuff is a sin.
Us MAGA Republicans banned abortion, but that's just the
It's this
Starts
caricature.
just the start.
Oh,
If
sorry
Trump-
about that. It's this caricature of conservative, mostly Christian people, and it's an exaggeration of things that we say. It's just absolutely insane, over the top caricature of what they want people to believe conservative Christians are. And now that we got rid of abortion, now we're going to control everything about your life. Newsflash, we didn't get rid of abortion, guys. Last year, and they just released the numbers a couple of weeks ago on the amount of abortions that were performed in the United States last year. That's the first full year post the banning or the overturning of Roe, not banning. That's a term that they want to use. There were more abortions than there had been in 12 years last year after the overturning of Roe. So this false narrative that all of a sudden you can't get an abortion. And honestly, I'm just going to be honest. I wish you couldn't get an abortion, because every life matters to me. Every life. And that's before birth, after birth, any age, every life matters. And we should be championing that and fighting and educating people about that.
Yeah, this is the stereotype of the basket of deplorables. Like, anybody that supports Trump is some type of sex offender, who's a Jesus freak, that, is probably a Catholic priest that molests little boys. And obviously, look how creepy we are. We must molest little kids. And I mean, this went way, way down the rabbit hole of putting all the Trump supporters in a box. And man, imagine if this went the other way. And Kamala somebody needs to her answer this. She knows this ad is out there, even though it's a super PAC and it's, a separate organization. They've probably seen it. And if it was so bad, if they thought it was so bad, they would have them take it down for sure. I can't imagine, if it went the other way, if we tried to stereotype liberals in the most extreme, way possible. It would be, oh my God, I can't believe they said these things. So that's it. When you think of all the normal people, that support Trump or support the policies of a Trump administration, all the cops, firefighters, engineers, all the hardworking people in America that are going to Little League baseball games with their kids and doing all the hard American work type stuff, for the Democrats to say, well, no, that's not you. You're actually these wacko people. That's big time offensive. And I would love to have somebody face to face come explain that to me and tell me, that I'm one of those people. That's hardcore there, man. That's really, what was it? They used to say, the Republicans will go low and we'll go high, or whatever they used to say. Like, they're like, we'll take the high road. Like, come on. That's some of the dirtiest politics you can do right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's a characteristic of what they really want people to think about us, is that we're just these people that want. Well, we always get accused of the things that are being done to us from the other side. And I don't want I don't want to say, you know, I have friends that have been lifelong Democrats. I'm not saying anything about that, but I am saying something about the far left, the very far left. They don't care about anything but furthering their agenda and really at the end of it all, I do believe that if they had the ability, they would lock us up. They would put us in camps. They would want us to be restricted heavily the way that they say we want to restrict them.
Yeah, as I watch that video, I think, okay, as a strategist on the Democratic side, who is that video targeted for? Like, what are they trying to accomplish? Usually with a commercial, you're trying to convince people to vote for your person. Like, here's all the good things we did. Here's the things we're going to do in the future. You know, here's how my opponent screwed up. That video is just sheerly for entertainment purposes for some weird sicko Democrats. Like, we're just going to stir the pot. We're going to, you know, we got all this money. We got to do something with it. Let's just really make fun of people. Let's just really, you know, drag some people down. It'll be hilarious. Like, that's low. I'm not saying Republicans have never done that. But like, that's the one I don't like getting thrown into a group of people that are sicko child molester, you know, type folks. So that stuff just motivates me even more to share that information, share it on a podcast like this, let people know what's really going on. They talk about, the Democrats talk about, well, just Trump, where's the decency at? You know, like, well, I can show you a lot of decency. You look at a Trump rally where you've got flags everywhere, USA, USA. Do they chant USA at a Kamala rally? Nope. They got Megan Thee Stallion coming out, twerking, awful lyrics. Nobody's talking about the USA. Like, you know, where's the decency there? But there's not, because if you know, believe in killing all the babies you possibly can and believe in letting men beat up women, like, you know, we need some work. It needs to be done in the decency department, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. And that is I actually saw a video the other day of somebody saying, you know, it's kind of weird that when you see somebody with an American flag out in front of their house, you know who they're voting for. That's how far we've come in the country, is because
no kidding.
The left wants to blast this country, wants to say it's a horrible country, even though they get to take advantage of all of the things that our founders and every person that has fought for the freedom of this country has fought and died. Many have died for. And you live in a country, it's just like we covered this the other day of the pro-Palestine protest where they're burning the American flag. Go do that in China. Go do that in Russia. Go do that in any authoritarian country and see what happens. You will be disappeared. You will be dead.
Yep.
We're the only country that has the freedom that you can actually spit on the country. You can actually run the country into the ground. It's because we have a country that's based off of biblical principles of liberty and freedom of choice. You know, and we're fighting against that.
I don't know where you're going next, John, but man, I saw a lot of news articles today. You know, back in 2020, Trump and all of his lawyers were talking about how the election was rigged and stolen. And now all of a sudden we're starting to see a lot of these reports of, you know, the final investigation is out and all of these ballots are missing, or people moving stuff around. Like, it's not like Trump just saying it. It's, you know, state investigators and like are coming to this conclusion and nobody's going to talk about it. And I'm just really nervous about what's going to happen. It's just like the graph we see with the Venezuela election. The opposition party's leading like crazy. You know, the incumbent's way down, and then the day of election, all of a sudden the incumbent wins, catches up by 50 points and barely wins.
Yep.
Like, yeah, because to me, it looks like, you know, Trump is still riding the wave of being shot. You know, there's, you know, a lot of, you know, support, a lot of groundswell of support for Trump. You see it in a lot of places. You see it at the rallies. You see it all over. I just think, you know, as bad as it might get for Kamala with all her past and her track record of all the things she's done, I don't know if it could get bad enough. I think the system that's in place is still capable of some real shady stuff happening on November 5th or
Yep. You're
a couple
absolutely
days
right.
after that. So I'm nervous about it.
I wanted to share this, and then we can move on to that. I wanted to share this real quick because this is just another example of where the thought process is on the left. Discrimination against trans Olympians has its roots in Nazi Germany. So this is the same thing that led us to an attempted assassination of a president. You know, I mean, it's just insane to me that we are at this point, that we are where everybody's a Nazi. Are you there, Dave? Did I lose you?
Yep. Nope, I'm still there. Yeah. So, wow. You're going really digging now. Like even if you say anything bad at all, you're the worst. You're a Nazi. Like,
yep.
And I think we just need to, battle these people with facts, and hopefully everybody sitting back at home is like, you know what, your gut feeling knows what the right thing is. And if enough people start standing up, like enough people complain about the Olympics and opening ceremony that, like you said, a lot of these big name companies pulled ads. Like, if X and everything hadn't gone crazy, they wouldn't have pulled commercials from there. Everything, they wouldn't have done it on their own, but they saw the crazy outrage. Like, hey, yeah, maybe we need to do something about this. So, voice your opinion, on social media. It's time for all of us to really start saying where we stand. I've got a Trump flag in the background behind me. A lot of people are like, well, who I vote for politically, it's not really everybody's public, knowledge. And I want to keep that personal. Those days should be over.
Yeah.
You should be telling everybody who you're going to vote for, why you're going to vote for them, what the consequences are of not voting for that person. And, it goes either way. Democrat, you should also, if you have strong beliefs, our tagline for Righteous Savages is act like you believe. If you really believe that somebody is going to accomplish something for you, then you should act like it. You shouldn't sit back in silence in your basement and not say anything. I don't want to offend anybody, and I don't want to talk about politics. Man, we encouraging everybody out there to take a stand. I'm honestly thinking about putting a giant Trump sticker on my truck somewhere. I know it'll probably get firebombed and windows broken out, all that good stuff, but I want other normal people to know that, hey, there's some normal people that are actually not afraid to stand up for something. Maybe now I've got the courage to stand up for something as well. So, I mean, we just need to start taking a stand, and we'll try and get this revolution, so to speak, going.
Yep. And I'm going to throw this up there because this is, you talked about this just a minute ago, and it's funny and not funny all at the same time. Let me get this ready to go here. First live stream with a new software, so it's taken me a second. If you see me looking around, I'm trying to figure out all of the little buttons and whistles, but this is a side-by-side of the Olympic competition and a very familiar Macho Man Randy Savage competing as a girl in South Park.
Of course, man. I'm so glad that South Park is not cancelable.
Oh, it's like the Babylon Bee, man. Like they're almost more prophetic now than they aren't
Simpsons
anymore. Yeah, it's just like it's not satire anymore. Real life is over the top. And I do want to say something as a Christian, and as somebody who is, definitely more conservative minded, but the ideology that we're seeing come out, this is not the Democratic Party that I grew up with, that my uncle was in. This is not the left that, many of my friends historically have been a part of. This is a religion. It is absolutely a religion. Mm-hmm. For them to go to the point where they want to, cut body parts off because some kid said that they felt this way. And it's based off of feelings. It's based off of all of these things. And we all know that feelings can be fickle. They're not based in fact always. And as a Christian, we have to speak the truth of this. And we have to, in all honesty, we have to defeat this ideology because it's completely counter to God. I read in Genesis right at the beginning of this live stream. It's very clear. And it's very clear that these people need God and they need help and they need Jesus. And I would encourage them to do that. We are not casting stones. We want you to get help, but we also have to defeat this ideology. And the only way you defeat these ideologies is by speaking the truth. And sometimes that costs you. We talk about people like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was very, very instrumental in exposing the lies of Adolf Hitler. Now, he lost his life for that. But everything that he said was true. And when you read about his life, he was unapologetic about his beliefs and what he knew was the truth. And we need people in the public square to stand up and say those same things. It does seem like the church as a whole, the Big C church, is not actually engaged in the fight. We're more interested in infighting about, somebody did something the wrong way or somebody said something the wrong way. We have to unite and we have to speak truth. And the truth in the public square is very important. We don't need to pull back into the walls of our church. We need to go out in public and we need to actually share these truths with the world.
Yeah, and you don't have to call it politics, but you just say, hey, we're going to talk about some stuff going on in America today, and we want to tell you what the truth is. The truth is that there is one gender. You can talk about all those topics. You don't even have to say the word politics, but those topics are very important. And ultimately, a lot of those things are trying to convince people to, that these people want a godless culture, a godless America, where you can have all the abortions you want. You can live your life however you want, just whatever feels good. That's like the founding principle of Satanism is if it feels good, do it. That
you want to skyrocket your YouTube,
your own selfish desires, just do that thing. And we don't need God. And we've seen all over the world that a godless society does not work. It just doesn't. It falls apart. It's raging with war and hate and selfishness. And that's how societies go down in a hurry if we just flush God out of every part of our lives.
That's absolutely true. And this country was founded on biblical principles. Yes, we had faults. Yes, we had things that we made mistakes on, slavery being one of the biggest ones. But that doesn't mean we discount the actual principles that the country was founded on. We actually have to embrace those and say, no, these are actual truths, biblical truths that we're going to screw up because we're imperfect people. Nobody's perfect that's ever walked the face of the planet except for Jesus. And so we're going to screw things up. We're going to mess things up. There's not a country on the face of the planet that hasn't made massive mistakes in its history, and we are no exception to that. However, the idea of America and the foundation of America is based off of equality. It is based off of freedom and liberty and turning your heart to God and understanding those things. So we have to embrace those things instead of running away from them. And I do believe that what you just said is absolutely correct. We are at a point where they want to take God out of everything. Benjamin Franklin, at the time that the Constitution was completed, he said, this Constitution is for a moral and religious people. And the only way that it happens, the only way that it continues is if we return to being the moral and religious people that it was made for. And we see this tearing apart and this breaking down of what's going on in society. And it's because we're trying to tear that away from God. And, I have been vocal about my support of Donald Trump since the assassination. I officially came out and endorsed him. That doesn't mean that I actually agree with everything that he says. I don't agree with the backing away on the life issue. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with taking out, the pro-life stance of the Republican Party, because I do believe that we do have to stand on principles. However, when I look on the other side and I see somebody who has flip-flopped and lied and wants to push all of these ideologies down our throats and, codify them into law, take away our right to defend ourselves, the choice is it's not even close. For a Christian, we have to look at what is best for the future of our country. We have to think of our children and our future generations, because that's what's really on the ballot this year.
Yeah. Yep. Big time, man. What else you got? I know I was wanting to talk a little bit also about Trump and his interview at the National Association of Black Journalists.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead and talk about that. I'll try and pull up some clips from that.
So that was pretty epic. I thought he started right off the gate with, "Man, you are one rude lady." So the journalist from ABC News had the first question. She just out. She's called him, a racist, and say he's done all these horrible things to the Black community. And he's like, "Man, you couldn't even say hi. How you doing? Welcome." You just jumped right down my throat. And it was interesting. In short order, she asked, "Do you believe Kamala Harris was a DEI hire as vice president?" And Trump kind of danced around it a little bit. And he's like, "Well, I don't know, maybe." But the real answer is yes, she was. You had people all over the media, CNN, everywhere, demanding that Joe Biden appoint a Black woman as his vice president. It was all over the news. So if that's your only, parameters for who's going to get that job, then it's based on sex and race. It's not based on merit. So yes, it was a DEI hire for sure. And then she asked him, a couple things. We'll get to the Kamala's not Black here in a second. But she asked him if he was going to pardon, she said, all of the January 6th rioters and everybody that got arrested. And Trump pretty much said, yeah. And she's like, "How could you do that?" So you got people that assaulted police officers, people that got, convicted for assault and battery. She's like, "You would pardon those people?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, probably." And she's like, and she said these words. She said, "But they were convicted." And I wish Trump, man, of course, if I was in that moment, I probably would have forgot the cool thing to say too. But when she said, "But they were convicted," he should have said, "Yeah, it's kind of interesting that we're at this, Black journalist meeting here. So I'm glad that since everybody's here, ABC News declared tonight that everybody that's ever convicted of a crime is absolutely 100% guilty and can never have new evidence brought in." And then I would have named like 10 Black guys that had been convicted of murder and sent to prison for life for death row that later had their convictions unturned because they found more evidence and found out that they actually weren't the murderer. Yep. And I would have painted her right in this corner and said, "Thank you so much for ABC for letting everybody know that everybody that's convicted is 100% guilty and can never get out of jail. And it's going to save us so much money. All the lawyers out there in this room that are working so hard to get these Black guys that are wrongly convicted, you don't have to do that anymore. ABC News just declared that if your guy was convicted, that's it. They can never. So thank you very, very much," is what I would have told her, because that's ridiculous to think that somebody couldn't be wrongly convicted, especially in the political environment of January the 6th, for crying out loud. There's so many people that got shafted in that whole deal there.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen this, but you mentioned you said you were talking about you want to finish your thought and then we'll go on to her not being Black.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to next. And
let me play this clip then real quick. Yeah. And because this is a well-known, I forget this lady actor's name, but this is a clip. Yeah, Tim runs his mouth on Twitter, posted this.
So I don't know, is she Indian or is she Black?
She is always identified as a Black woman. She went to a historically Black college.
Okay, so what we're going to cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because you are Indian.
Yes.
So we're both Indian.
Yes.
But actually, we're both South Indian.
Yes. You look like the entire one half of my family.
So I don't know, is she Indian or is she Black?
She is always identified as a.
This. I mean, how many more times, like, I know that this became a clip that the left kind of ran with, but then all this other stuff, she has multiple times where she claimed to be Indian. and
yeah. So here's
dressed up in the Indian garb, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I was watching ABC News tonight, and of course they were like all over. Donald Trump is sticking to his guns and digging in on his claim that Kamala's not black. And they showed the clip, and I thought, well, they're going to really bury Trump. They're going to pull out. They're really going to detail like why Kamala is black. Like they're going to mention her dad or grandpa or something. They're going to mention like, here's the thing. This is, everybody knows, she's half black or whatever. This is the document, or these are the people. They never said it. All they said was, well, she went to a black college. That was it. That was the only thing they had to dispute Donald Trump's horrible, awful claim. And here's the thing. They could do a DNA test today, and half of her DNA comes from the middle of Africa.
Yep.
Here's the thing with her. She doesn't identify as one or the other. Most people that are biracial pick one. And even if you didn't, it's so disingenuous when you go on TV with the Indian host and talk about how Indian you are. And then you go to Atlanta for a rally and start talking. She started to try and talk in like a ghetto accent. Did you hear this?
Yep.
It was crazy. Like all of a sudden she's going to turn on the blackness just for the black people.
Well,
like who cares?
That's her channeling her inner Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton did the same thing in 2016.
Yeah, well, we're going to keep you in chains or whatever. In her accent.
Hot sauce was one of them. We all been there down that road and all of that. Just craziness, man. I don't know.
Kamala talking.
It's crazy.
But they have to have that. They have to cling because they don't have any policy. They got no accomplishments. I think they said when she was a senator from California, she co-sponsored like 170 bills. None of them passed and didn't permit one piece of her own legislation. Like, wow, how's that even possible? You couldn't do that again if you tried to. Like, you couldn't even pass a resolution that, like, 4th of July is great. And, she couldn't even do something like that. So just if it was for anybody else in America, it's just, base your run for president on what you've done. You don't dangle, hey, everybody, guess what? I'm black. Or, hey, everybody, guess what? I'm one of you. I'm Indian. You shouldn't have to do that. But the Democrats always do it.
I don't care who or what you are if you are competent and able to do the job. That's the reality of it. I know a lot of competent people that are big, strong men. I know a lot of competent people that are small, small females. I would take either one of them if they can do the job. If they can actually lead, then that's what we need. But here, I'll play this real quick. This is her breaking into her talk in Atlanta yesterday after the court
you all helped us win in 2020, and we're gonna do it again in 2024.
We're gonna do it again.
Yes,
so obvious. That's weird, John. It's just so weird. And here's the thing: when the half black Republicans come out, they're not black enough. And the number one example is Condoleezza Rice. Oh, well, she's not dark skinned enough to be a real black person. And so, I think on the Chappelle show, they even made fun of her. There was a skit on the Chappelle show called The Racial Draft. I don't know if you remember that episode. I think the white people drafted Condoleezza Rice or she got traded to the white people. Yep. So, 10, 15 years ago, if you weren't dark enough, you weren't black enough. Now, she might as well just be the blackest person on the planet, and you can't question that. Like, it's just so frustrating. And we all know it doesn't matter where you're from, what you look like. If you do a bang up job, like you're the best that ever was at this, then bring it on. We're all about it. And I think, Republicans really are. The stereotype is that it's not, but they really are the party of inclusion. You look at these rallies where they've had these behind the scenes and undercover things where they'll send a black guy wearing a Biden shirt to a Trump rally.
Yep.
And it's like, hey man, what's going on? You know, they talk, everybody has a good time. Then you send a guy in a Trump hat to a Harris rally, and it's like near assassination.
Yep.
The hatred, everything.
There was a dude that did this. I think Elon Musk
oozing out. They just can't stand like AOC.
Yep.
Yeah. When the lady that runs Libs of TikTok showed up AOC at Capitol Hill one day and found out who she was, she's like, I can't even be around you, and just stormed off. That sums up how a lot of Democrats feel about Republicans. And if you can't even be in the same room with somebody that disagrees with you, that says it all. It's like that you just got this hatred in your heart that needs to be worked on.
Yep. It's absolutely true. It's well, we live in crazy times. And
it's so weird. It's so weird how.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's so weird how everything is flipped. You know, back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, we were told that the Democrats were the party that cares for the little man, the working person, the blue collar. Like the Democrats are all about you and unions and you know, the guy with the lunch pail. Like the Democrats were like, we're here for you, and the Republicans are the mean, rich white guys smoking cigars at the top of their penthouse. Like that's who they are. Now, all of a sudden, the Democrats are the mean people. The Democrats are the elites, the super billionaires that are. When Kamala raised $100 million in 2 days, it came from like 5 people.
Yep.
So it's like the Democrats are the ones that have become the party of the super elites, the Obamas that are running things from behind the scenes. And it's just this elitism over the top. They don't give a crap about black people, poor people. It's all about the votes. And it's so weird how those things have flipped. I saw infographic or whatever today about the first black senator in the United States was like in like 1960. The first Republican senator was 1870.
Black senator. Actually worse than that. It was 1993. 1993.
Okay, 93. You're right. Like, so, and Democrats were the party of the KKK. 100%. This isn't made up. You know, Robert Byrd and all of Biden's buddies back in the 60s. The Democrats were the racist people. 100%.
Yep.
It was the Republicans, the ones passing the civil rights bill. And man, I just wish we had, you know, when Trump was doing, somebody on these debates, like needs to have an earpiece going. So not to make stuff up, but to just get this info out there in the moment when everybody's watching.
Well, tell me logically, how do you end up in a situation where you actually believe, you just mentioned the Democrat or the Republicans passed the Civil Rights Act in 1963, I think it was. So we passed the Civil Rights Act after decades of fighting for this and fighting Jim Crow laws in the South, doing all this stuff. Then they want the narrative to be that after doing all of that work, the Republican Party, the same exact Republicans, all of a sudden decided, hey, let's be racist, guys. And there was this, they call it the big flip, the big switch. They literally teach this. The big switch happened, and all of a sudden, all of the Republicans that just fought for civil rights are now big racists. And all the Democrats that were big racists are all of a sudden the friends of people of color. It doesn't logically make sense. And there's a reason why they want you to believe that, is because they can't actually defend their history. They can't actually defend what they did. So they have to build these false narratives of, hey, we're now all for the black community. But let me ask you this. What has the Democratic Party done in black communities in the last 50 years since the Civil Rights Act? I can't think of very many good things.
Yep. And thank goodness we've got the old internet. We had the internet 4 years ago, obviously, but it just seems like the amount of information flowing out now that X is owned by Elon Musk, thank goodness. I mean, I've seen probably 15 videos in the last 3 days of journalists getting on Google and typing in Donald Trump assassination. And the first thing that pops up on Google is Kamala Harris for president.
Yep.
That's creepy stuff, man, to know that all that information is being controlled big time and there's zero we can do about it. but just be open-minded, search out. You can find that information if you keep searching and keep digging on your own, but it's definitely not going to show up, and you are going to get swarmed with ads, all the TikTok stuff, just all the reels and Instagram. Just, the Democrats, they've got their game on when it comes to that stuff. There's no doubt about it.
So look at the screen here, and there's something really similar about these two things. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Really weird. They said there's fortifying the election. There's the F right there. F for fortifying. This is not normal. This is not normal. That's not how voting works. If they were to catch up and end up here, you would see something like a gradual shifting up. But there's never a situation where almost 100% of the votes goes one way. Even in big Democratic cities, Trump still in New York City won like 28-30% of the vote. I mean, so it's never going to look like that unless there's something fishy going on. And what happened is Maduro, he went in and seized the ballot boxes with the military. That's why there's mass protests in Venezuela right now, is because he fortified his own election. And as Joseph Stalin was famously quoted as saying, I don't care who votes. I care who counts the votes. And that's that's authoritarianism. That's what that's what I believe that happened in 2020. And I think if they can get by with it, they're going to try and do it again. It's the only way they can win.
We should start keeping a list of predictions, like a football pool for like New Year's Day football games or something. But I think one of my predictions is that there are going to be about 500 lawsuits that happen right after the election, with all the close votes and the recall election, not recall, but recounts, because elections are close and we're not going to know. I don't think we're going to know who won this thing for days, maybe weeks. And man, that's going to cause some tension big time. So I'd be in a train wreck mess. The only way to avoid that is if Trump wins by like 10 million votes.
So
get out there.
Here's another one here. 109% total. When you count all of these percentages up, it's 109%.
Wow, that's a good number.
That's weird. I didn't know that you could vote. Maybe they got their dead people voting like us.
Yeah, but they heard that phrase, give it 110%. And they just kind of notch it down, right? Didn't want to be too braggadocious. But
nothing fishy going on here. As the Leslie Nielsen, was it Naked Gun? Please remain calm. Nothing to see here. Go back to your homes.
Mostly peaceful protests going on.
Mostly peaceful protests. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and I think that really, it's easy to get caught up in all of this. And I would say that the one thing that we can hold on to as followers of Christ and believers in God is that we know who's in control. And some things happen for reasons that we are beyond our understanding when they happen. So we don't know what the future holds. Now, to say that we also have to take action. God does not actually ever in the Bible say, I'm in control, now go sit on your butt. That's not actually the way that works. He says, I'm in control, and we can actually have an effect on that. We can actually inspire God to change things for us. And so that would be the thing that I would say is most important for followers of Christ, for believers. We need to pray. We need to pray that God's will be done, and not necessarily say, oh, I want, like I always used to think when I was a little kid, if I pray hard enough, the Chicago Bulls are going to win this game. That little, it's not like that. It's, if we turn from wickedness and we fight wickedness and we stand up, God's going to hear that. He's going to see that action, and he's going to reward it, and he's going to bless us. So that's the important thing for us to think about, is that as we go about our lives and as we move forward, we have to continually engage with our Heavenly Father and say, hey, Lord, please put your will in my will, in the place of my will, and do what needs to be done to wake people up, to change the country, to change people's hearts, so that we don't want to do all of this evil madness.
Yeah. What we do does have an effect. Almost everything God did over the course of humanity was in response to humanity's obedience or disobedience to him, one way or the other. And that all involves actions of either doing the right thing, doing the wrong thing. So our actions, what we do, does have an effect on the course of the world and history. So we definitely need to be taking action moving forward based on the right thing to do, based on righteousness, and head in that direction, and then we'll let God take care of the rest.
Yep, absolutely. And I think you've got anything else that you would like to cover in this?
I don't think so, man. We hit quite a bit of stuff, so I think maybe it'd be cool for maybe at some point start doing some Q&As. With some people and kind of start talking about what some of our viewers want to hear us talk about, get our opinions on some specific stuff. So I think that'd be cool in the future.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll plan one of those here coming up. We'd like to thank everybody from the Survival Dispatch channel for tuning in with us. Got quite a few there. We got a few on our kind of fluctuating around, but on our YouTube channel we got a few. This is one of our first big live streams, so look for more of these coming down the road, and we'll try and put the word out a little bit earlier than we did on this one. Don't forget, guys, that we have our merch on our website. I'm wearing one of our shirts, and this is one that's really, really important. I think it's Comfort is Your Enemy. It's been a really popular seller, and if you guys want one, get on our website, and we'll mail it out to you. They are great shirts. They fit really well, and you can just really send that message out to everybody. We also have coffee on our website. Our coffee's amazing. I'm sipping on some of it right now. Hit us up on all of our social medias. Watch for things that are happening coming up. We're going to do some live streams. If there's a second debate, we'll probably live stream that, live react to it. That's going to be really interesting. At least we'll do a pregame and a postgame and kind of go through what we hear. Big stream on election night. It's going to be a co-stream between us and Survival Dispatch. There are going to be some A-list guests, some guys that you may know from the gun community stopping by, maybe some former special ops guys dropping into the stream, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Just kind of following what's going to happen. That may actually be a really late stream. I'll probably go the distance. Dave might be like, I'm tapping out. It's too late, but
it's been 2 weeks. We'll have, I'll have a full beard and, right? Flies will be everywhere.
And one other thing for the gun community, we are going to be at the Gun Owners of America Goals Conference. We're going to be walking around there, rubbing shoulders with a lot of people in the gun community, getting some contacts, hopefully have some people on the podcast. So if you guys are going to be down in Knoxville on the 17th and 18th of August, look us up. We'll be there. Us and our helper there, our cameraman, Ty. He's going to be coming with us, and we're just going to be roaming around and making some videos. So watch for that on our social media. It's going to be a good time. Looks like it's going to be a pretty happening place. So, and we're going to do some kind of vlogging type stuff there. And hopefully you guys will tune in for that. Got anything else, Dave? I forgot?
Nope.
All right.
That's it, man. Appreciate everybody joining us.
Yep. So until next time, remember to take Jesus wherever you go and act like you believe. We'll see you guys soon.
See ya.